Hey y'all, hey, and welcome to another session of Meditations with Marini. So, I wanted to come back this afternoon and I wanted to chat with you briefly about the sessions that I had on yesterday. And for those of you that might follow and subscribe to me on a regular basis, you may have noticed that I was a little frustrated yesterday. And I was because when you're on YouTube, it will push different videos to your feed. And I have been receiving these particular videos from these young ladies that are teaching other young ladies about basically mistreating and misusing people, especially men, and it is also talking about like ways to treat them. And in my frustration on yesterday, it was just very aggravating because some of the things that they are teaching, they're so unethical and immoral, in my opinion, that it is all about just a dollar bill, what a woman can get from a man. And today I kind of wanted to talk about a man needs a safe space too. I think that oftentimes when people look at men, especially masculine men, when they look at them, they tend to think that they don't need a safe space. And I had the opportunity to speak with my 87-year-old uncle. He is the matriarch of our family, and he is somebody who is like, if you guys have listened to my videos, I come from a very strong masculine man family, military base. So there's Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine in my family, and many of the men in my family, either they have come up from the bootstraps and they worked their way up and made a good provision for their families over the years, or they were military men who, they just had a very structured household. Some of them only had boys, and so it wasn't no feminine stuff going on in the house other than my aunts. And so I had a chance to talk with my uncle, and we laughed because my uncle is one of those people that he is a hard egg to crack. When I say a hard egg, he don't move quick about nothing. It's going to be his way or the highway, and so he always jokes with me about, his nieces being able to basically pretty much get whatever we want. And so one of the things that he and I talked about was, because I'll call him just to talk, like I want to know family history. I want to know about like where they came from, what happened when they were growing up. I called to get that history because you can't get that anywhere else. And so when I talk with him, he always tells me, he has this real deep voice, how to converse with me, and we talk about intellectual things. So we can talk about things like politics, we talk about flowers, we talk about catching fish, going hunting. Like, it's not anything that's out there that we don't speak about. But one of the things that he was sharing with me is, we were talking about relationships. And, I was telling him about just the dating process and what that looks like, and, kind of how I thought that I would have been married for 30 or 40 years. Like, never thought that I would be out here in the dating streets. And how men are being mistreated. And we talked about, even with him, his wife died, and when my aunt died, there was someone else that he dated for a while, and then she ended up getting sick and she passed away as well. And so he and I were talking about the fact that, he's such a peculiar person that it takes a really different type of woman to love him. And he was saying that, first of all, he has to be intellectually stimulated by her. It can't be that she's just pretty, because he was like, I'm one that I like to converse. I'm going to want to communicate. And so with that, that brings a different element. He was talking about, but that doesn't change the fact that he still needs love just like anybody else. And so here he is, 87 years old. Yes, he is content in where he is, but we were talking about just his dating process. And I want to say that men need a safe space as well, ladies. Like, it is, yes, we want them to provide that for us. Yes, we want them to assure that we are okay. Yes, we want them to assure that we are protected. Yes, we want them to make sure that we have some of the things that we want And we want them to help to provide our needs. I think the old school way of a man taking care of you is different. It looks different today than it did 20 years ago. It looks different today than it did 50 years ago. It looks different today than it was 70 years ago. And so I think that women need to understand that the pressures of life have changed, and so therefore the responsibilities of handling a family has changed as well. And if you don't understand that you must create a safe space for your man, your husband, your spouse, your partner, that it is going to be difficult to understand how you could get him to communicate with you. The one thing that I can say about men, most men that I know who are married, and they are happily married, and when I say happily, they love their wives, is that most men, if he cares about you, he will open up to you in a way that he's not going to open up to other women. Now, you got two types of people. Some will open up to you because they want you to open up to them, and that's just a means of them trying to draw you in. That's a fisherman who he's throwing the bait out there to you, and he just trying to reel you in. But then there are some who are genuinely sharing their concerns with you because they want to let you know that they're inviting you into their space and their world. And nothing but time will separate those two things. But if you're not mature enough, and if you're not emotionally grown enough to recognize that you need to know when to cultivate that, then you could actually damage that process as you are getting to have him to open that door to you. And I'm saying this because those of you that may be watching my channel who are married, what I want you to know is that your husbands want to open up to you, but you have to create that safe space for him. And if he can't have it with nobody else, he needs to be able to have it with you. And he needs to be able to have it in a place where when he opens up to you, you then take that and you wrap it up in a safe little space for him, and you tuck that away. Not in a space where you then take that and use it against him because of him showing you his vulnerable space. And I say that because, ladies, hear me when I say conversing with some fellow men. And I had said that I think I'm going to start doing something like going into the barbershop. I think I'm going to do like a barbershop talk day, like where I go to the barbershop and maybe not show the guys in the shop, but let them talk. Like I ask questions and then I let them talk in the background so you can hear what they are actually saying. But when you have husbands who say, I don't feel like I can take that to her, or I don't feel like I could talk to my wife about this. Now, let me say this, prerequisite. There is a way to talk to someone, but those type things are built over a period of time. If the one thing that I find is that people find it really easy to talk to me. Like they come and they share information, and it's a whole bunch of stuff I'm gonna take to my grave. But I have to think about myself. Like there are some things that I'm not so proud of. There are some things that I'm not happy that I've done in my life, but they are a part of me. And because they are a part of me, as I'm in this dating process, if I were to move into a situation where I am becoming more involved with someone and I'm actually looking at marrying that person, there are some components about myself that I need to share with him, because I don't want him to ever know those components based upon something else that comes up later on. And when I say that, like, I don't have anything. I ain't buried no bodies or nothing like that. I thought about it. Then I couldn't figure out how I was gonna get the body. If I got rid of this body, how I'm gonna drag it to the backyard, and then if I drag it, can I dig a hole that's 6 feet deep? Like it all crossed my mind. I'm just playing, y'all. But I think we all been there. If you've been divorced and you had something that you dealt with, yeah, most times there was something that almost took you to that place. But what I will say is that I want to have a safe space with him. And so if I want to have a safe space with him, I must be able to create a safe space for him to have with me. And that takes practice. Like what I'm telling you now, I haven't always had that. I mean, yes, he could share with me, but then I might end up crying, or I might end up mad, or, my feelings are hurt, you know. Um, at this point and stage in my life, I want to be better, and I want to be better for my spouse. And so if I want to be better for my spouse, the only way that I can be better for him is that he has to tell me, hey baby, I like this, or I don't like that, or when you cook this, I need you to cook it like this, or and then that might mean that he might have to teach me how he wants me to do that. He may have to show me, like, this is the way that I need for you to do this, because this is what I like. And in that, it will create a space for him to feel comfortable enough to then come back and say, I can talk with her about this. And sometimes you may have to just listen and take it in and say, well, baby, I can't give you any communication on this right now, but can we revisit this in a couple of days? I just need to digest that. I need to take that in. And once you take it in, it may be something that you come back to the table and you talk about. But also, if it is about him, you don't want to turn it around and make it about you. If he comes to you, and I'm just using myself as an example, one of the biggest issues that I used to have with my ex-husband is that I would give him an open door to talk to me about things that he felt like he had a problem with me. But he did not like it when I expressed things that I had a problem with him. And so instead of it being a communication where I could come and say, hey, when you did this right here, it really made me feel like this, or I don't like it when you do that, or this makes me feel vulnerable in this space, or I don't care when you do this right here. Like, he would then turn it around and make it about him. He would say, well, you didn't do this, or you didn't do that. Now, if we're in a place where we are having open communication, where we are expressing, like I always say, let's do, I do like a 5-minute rule. Like, if you got the squeeze ball, then it's your turn to talk. And then we got a timer where you can speak, and that's your time. And then when you finish, then I get to either respond to that, or I can bring my own concern that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about where it ends up getting ugly and you go into an argument and you did not then allow him to be able to freely express himself to you. So that's a learned behavior. Like, I've had to put in a lot of practice. I've had to do a lot of self-help. I've had to assure that I didn't internalize things and make it about me when it should be about him. And so I'm saying that to you, that I can't really say I could have done anything differently in my previous marriage, because I would do that the same way. I would still open up the door for him to communicate with me. And oftentimes, even in hard conversations like that, it was me who opened the door for that. And that's because I understand communication. With my degree being in human services, with me being somebody that loves people, I am a people person. So I can feel the energy of people when I walk into a room. I can, and not just from my natural state, but also just my spiritual state as well. My discernment meter is pretty high. And so, it's going to do one or two things. It's going to either detect what's going on, or it's going to tell me that, maybe this is just a deflection. So I want to say to you ladies, think about creating a space where he can open up to you. So if you're watching this and you are married, let's put one thing in practice. And maybe you might want to sit down and write down a couple of things that you would like to do. But I would like for you to, one, say maybe cook him dinner, and sit him down and say, babe, I want to give you the opportunity to share something with me. Maybe one thing that you would like to give me a point of correction, or share something with me, and I'm not going to respond to it in a negative way. And I want you to start with just that step. Just create an atmosphere where he could come in, he could sit down with you and he could tell you one thing about yourself that he would like to see you change and or improve, and you not respond to him in a negative way. You tell him, thank you, I appreciate you for sharing this with me, and I am going to take this information and try to work on that. And then I want you to come back and we're going to maybe talk about it again. Get in the comments, give me some feedback on whether or not that's something that you would like to know more about, or if you would like advice on what other steps that you possibly could take. And what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start putting my email in the description, and that way you guys will have a means of being able to contact me. So you can either send me an email, you can either ask me the question. And one of the reasons that I'm saying that is because I've had a couple of people that reached out to me and I didn't realize, and even a couple of husbands that have called and said, I want to know, can I sit down and talk to you? I would like to look at some ways that I could talk with my wife about some of the content that you shared. And so I'm saying that to you because what I'm sharing with you is what I know in general has been shared with me. So find a safe space for him. Give him the opportunity to speak without you being combative or without you responding, and don't make the issue about you. Let the issue be about him. And then we're going to come back and maybe see what we can converse about a little later. All right, so I need you guys to click like. I need for you to share it with a friend, and I need for y'all to subscribe. Can you tell a friend to subscribe? Ask a friend of a friend of a friend to subscribe. All right, bye.